This morning, D.C. woke up to headlines like these. MAGA revolt. Trump discovers MAGA has no off switch. Trump and MAGA are no longer the same thing. Images of MAGA supporters literally burning their red MAGA hats are going viral online. And all of this comes a day after Trump berated Republicans as, quote, stupid and foolish for wanting more information about the disgraced financier who died by suicide while in federal custody. Today, Trump's secretary was bombarded with Epstein questions at this press conference.
You're watching DNA from a hopeful mom and dad being injected into the egg of another woman. A baby made from 3 people to avoid passing on a rare genetic disease. Now researchers say it worked.
You now have an option that allows you to have children that are genetically your own, but without the risk of passing on that mitochondrial disease.
Scientists say 8 healthy babies have now been born in the UK using this new IVF technique. Results published in the New England Journal of Medicine show pregnancies were confirmed in 8 of 22 patients, a success rate of 36%, 4 boys and 4 girls, including a set of twins. Currently, the oldest is about 2. About 1 in 5,000 babies are born with mitochondrial disease, a condition where tiny energy-making cell structures don't work properly, leaving the body short on fuel to function.
President going on social media calling some of those supporters, quote, weaklings.
Some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. They're stupid people.
Oh my God. It's Trump derangement syndrome and it's infected Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Israel's actions are a serious violation of international law, violates Syria's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. They also bring new complications for a peaceful and stable political transition in Syria. China unequivocally condemns these moves. We call on Israel to stop strikes on Syria and withdraw from Syrian territory as soon as possible.
The other laureate is Kennedy Odede of Kenya, who was also named as one of Time magazine's 2024 100 most influential people, who leads a grassroots movement shining hope for communities that empowers millions across the East African nation.
Victory. Our future is not a single program or a new initiative. It is a new architecture of trust, where design begins with dignity and where leadership flows from those who have lived the reality they now seek to change.
Threats from authoritarianism have never stopped. From military intimidation to internal infiltration and political warfare, all of this happens on a daily basis. Under such circumstances, we can only be prepared.
Modern China has never ruled Taiwan, but claims the island as its own. Chinese President Xi Jinping has threatened to annex Taiwan by force, stepping up incursions by China's military in Taiwan's defense zone. Some residents of the Taiwanese capital said the drills drive home the real potential of a Chinese attack.
The exercises make everyone more vigilant, and they raise the public's awareness. By conducting drills in advance, when the real enemy comes or missiles arrive, we can quickly find places to take cover.
Appliance prices jumped 1.9% in June. That was the biggest monthly spike since 2020, when Americans were locked down at home and investing in their living spaces. Plus, Trump's 25% to now 50% tariff on steel and aluminum affects products like washers, dryers, and refrigerators, pushing those costs higher. Meanwhile, toy prices rose 1.8%, and with about 80% of toys sold in the U.S. made in China, this category is heavily exposed to any tariffs on Beijing. And sporting goods prices climbed 1.4%. The World Trade Organization says nearly 2/3 of sporting goods imported to the U.S. come from China. The U.S. is also a major importer of furniture and apparel. Prices for both rose 0.4% last month. Now, it is important to note that price gains in these areas can be offset by declines elsewhere, but this data does point to growing pressure in tariff-sensitive parts of the economy.
Umkhonto weSizwe Party deems July the month of injustice to its president, referring to former President Jacob Zuma's imprisonment in July 2021. members of the party marched to the union buildings to hand over a memorandum. Their demands include that the president step down, that Mkhunu is fired, and the arrest of those implicated in wrongdoing by Mkhwanazi 2 weeks ago.
We therefore demand the following: an immediate resignation of Cyril Ramaphosa. Number 2, immediate arrest for those that are implicated in criminality, as per Mkhwanazi's statement.
Travelers, feel free to tie up those shoelaces tight because people traveling through domestic airports no longer need to remove their shoes while passing through security. For many years, that was a benefit only available to people in trusted traveler programs like TSA PreCheck. So now that everyone can keep their shoes on, is TSA PreCheck still worth it?
What is this Japanese walking? It actually has nothing to do with anything in Japan. People don't walk like this in Japan. But there's a study that was done about 20 years ago by a Japanese research group that found switching back and forth between high-intensity walking and moderate-intensity walking was better than just continuous moderate walking. So participants in this 2007 study, what they did was they did 3 minutes of fast walking, then they did 3 minutes of slower walking for about 30 minutes a day, and they did this at least 4 days a week. And what they found was actually pretty remarkable. Lower blood pressure, better cardiovascular fitness, better muscle strength. And so it did seem to have some effects, right? And now people on TikTok are going, okay, I gotta walk really fast, and then I gotta slow down, I gotta walk really, really slow.
The United States had spent first 230 years or so of its existence accumulating a $10 trillion national debt. We're at $37 trillion now. This bill is adding another $4 trillion to it. We're going to add another $20 trillion over the next decade. You talk about a money party. How in the world does the United States of America continue to remain the preeminent power on the face of the earth if we spend ourselves into debt to such a degree that we make the bond traders run for the hills?
21 months of war has ravaged Gaza. Homes, streets, parks, once bustling with life, now in ruins. Since the ceasefire ended, demolitions by Israeli forces and contractors have ramped up, levelling large swathes of Rafah. This was Tel al-Sultan, one of Rafah City's most vibrant neighbourhoods, in May. Weeks later, Israeli demolition has levelled it, with only the maternity hospital left standing. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced plans to create a so-called humanitarian city here for 2 million Palestinians to live in. It's been widely condemned and compared to a concentration camp by a former Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert.
A junior girls football coach in Lethbridge has been charged with making child pornography using artificial intelligence. 38-year-old Justin Tillery was arrested by Alert's Internet Child Exploitation Unit on Wednesday. Investigators say Tillery used AI to manipulate and sexualize photos of underage girls and shared them via the social media application Kick Messenger. Tillery is a coach with both the Lethbridge Rams and Football Alberta U18 team women's teams. Authorities say this kind of crime is still very new.
You give yourselves a raise for $2,400 for your living expenses, but you take $200 away from people on AISH.
Our AISH payments are $1,901, and the federal government has challenged all of the other provinces to come up to $1,813. So we surpassed that.
Financial support for Albertans on AISH among the issues raised with the Premier during this week's Alberta Next town halls. Pushback stemming from the province's earlier decision to not pass along the new Canada Disability Benefit, and more recently, a rent increase for AISH recipients who live in community housing.